Rewrite Plus was one of the most anticipated visual novels of last year, raising $200,000 amongst around 2,000 people to get the novel translated, which is not a small amount when it comes to visual novels. People were frothing at the mouth to inject more ki in their veins, and I was amongst them. Having last read a ki novel around a year and a half ago, I was excited, but after having played Clannad, Little Busters, and Summer Pockets, you could say my expectations were high, and I loved every second of this visual novel. At least the story part of it. Yet, I can't say I finished it. Was it because the story went on for too long, perhaps? Was it because I was busy doing adult things in real life? Or was it because the game literally keeps fucking crashing at the end of the last sequence even though it doesn't even matter since the novel probably just ends? It pisses me off to no end it's the last one.
それは違うと思うよ。もう殺すわよ。
じゃあバトルスタート。
かっこいい。もしかしてスキャンダル冗談なの？そうだけど。
Rewrite Plus is how to not do a visual novel release, ladies and gentlemen, and it pains me because the actual rewrite part is incredible. The soundtrack, the characters, the art if you like key art, the story, the plot twists, all of it leads to an incredibly fun reading experience I would heavily recommend is based on that alone. If it wasn't hindered by everything else. You see, Rewrite Plus actually cons you from the very second, because you don't get all of Rewrite Plus. It is supposed to come bundled with its DLC Harvest Festa, but I guess the translation wasn't finished, so they just decided to push out the main story of Rewrite so that we, who were frothing at the mouth, could be appeased. But in fact, I was not appeased, and here's why. I have played many visual novels at this point, some better and some worse when it comes to the translation and the engine, but this one manages to take the cake in how crap it is. Random lines are untranslated, usually in the mappy sections since they probably just skipped those during playtesting. Engine code leaks into the dialogue sometimes, error messages popping up every 5 seconds during the climax of the routes, routes literally crashing at the end, meaning I have to skip to the end again since the route must be completed to unlock more content. Shizuru, at some point they decide to release an update that bugs your saves, so you have to go into the properties and switch to legacy mode just to get them to work. Oh my lord, with all that being said, it pisses me off how good the story is because it makes the overall product harder to hate. I'm going to talk about it for a bit with minor spoilers, so stick around if you're interested, or feel free to skip this section. The story follows our main protagonist Tononji Kotaro as he goes about his school days, trying to find meaning in his seemingly small life. The common route of the visual novel follows him pursuing antics with his childhood friend Kotori, transfer student Chihaya, class rep Lucia, discipline committee member Shizuru, and occult club leader Akane, with occasionally scenes with the wannabe cool delinquent Yoshino and Chihaya's butler Sakura. As usual with Ki, the common route is pretty enjoyable. The protagonist is interesting, the supporting male characters are funny, and each of the main girls have quirks that are further explored once past the common route. The plot twist that happens was actually insane to me since I didn't expect a Ki visual novel to go in the direction that it did. However, it made things much more interesting, and once I got into a character route, I basically spent the next 3 days only playing Rewrite. The main conflict consistently remains interesting whilst you explore it from differing perspectives in each route, slowly uncovering the story and the lore of this universe. Once each character route is finished, you unlock 2 further routes. Moon, which essentially builds up the final route, Terra. These routes are not short and conclude the story in an enjoyable way, if not bittersweet. However, that's mostly to be expected, as every single route ends in a bittersweet sort of way, some a little more tragic than others though. The story maintains multiple themes, but one main one is about environmentalism. It does admittedly get a little preachy and repetitive at times, but it's not really bothersome, and it's not wrong to do so since we are literally killing the planet. So do your part and order that Beyond Meat sausage breakfast muffin at Starbucks. It's funny because corporations are the problem, but it's not funny because all you fucks will be migrating to my country once you're all underwater. My favorite route is probably Chihaya's, which might be odd considering it's seen as one of the weaker routes, but I didn't mind its shonen aspects, and Sakuya is probably the best character in the game. Following that, I'd probably say Lucia, Akane, Kotori, and then Shizuru in that order from best to worst. Lucia's route is incredible for both its romance and horror elements, as well as its plot twist that literally left me floored, followed by me thinking this game is hilarious and insane. Akane's route is wild, with practically non-stop action as it nears its end. Kotori's route was pretty good for building up the story, but I found it a bit lonely. That may be one of the reasons why I like Chihaya and Lucia's routes, as they still feature other characters every now and then, and aren't as isolated. Shizuru's route wasn't bad, but it just felt weak to me compared to the other routes. Rewrite Plus is probably my favorite key visual novel, and one of my favorite visual novels in general, but again, it's held back by its technical aspects. Due to everything I'd explained earlier, it was just a frustrating experience. It should be noted that I downloaded a patch that changes Shizuru's name to, well, Shizuru, as well as do some other general tweaking, I think. That could have been the cause of my crashes, but the untranslated lines, engine code, and other problems may still exist. They released an update a few days after the release fixing some things, but since I had to play on some beta branch of the game, I don't know if they fixed most of those issues or only a few. The one savior of the problems was the skipping. Visual novels skip at various speeds, but this one skips at the speed of light, so it made returning to the point I crashed at really simple. The soundtrack is pretty good all around, and I feature 3 of this game's soundtracks in an upcoming video I am making, ranking my favorite tracks from visual novels I played in 2021. So don't forget to subscribe so you won't miss that, a wink. Rewrite Plus is such an enjoyable visual novel, possibly one of the best, held back by probably one of the worst translations and engines. If anything, this game should be called Rewrite Minus, as the game itself tries to do everything it possibly can to make sure you won't enjoy your rewrite experience. The story does shine through though, and is probably worth it, at least if it wasn't an almost full-priced visual novel. All of these issues for a $57 visual novel funded by fans is kind of a disgrace. It might be worth it if you're craving key, but I find it hard to recommend supporting something this shoddy. At the same time though, I can't really recommend against it, as I imagine if it does poorly in sales they won't bother translating some of their other works without Kickstarters, so we are basically forced to grovel at Sekai Project's feet, being thankful if they'll even spit in our mouth. And it's frustrating. I think I've about powered out, so I'll leave it at that today. Thanks for watching, guys. I have less working hours, so the YouTube schedule should hopefully be more consistent, but we've heard that one before. I said it once, and I'll say it again, because I am a shill, but likes and subscribes are a good motivator, and I always encourage discussion in the world below this digital media video you're watching on your modern technology. See you soon, friends.